Let's look at the Ohm's Law wheel again, and this time let's think about where these equations have come from. So they came from two main formulas. They came from Ohm's Law, which says that V is equal to I times R, or I is equal to V over R, or R is equal to V over I. And from Watt's Law, which basically defined power as voltage times current, or current is power divided by voltage, or voltage is power divided by current. So we can find any of the other equations this way. So let's say we're looking for voltage. We find it here is P over I, that's right here. It is I times R, which is right here. We also have it in terms of power and resistance. Now, how we got that is that in our power equation here, if we substitute, let's see, P equals V times I, if we substitute I equals V over R, we get P equals V squared over R. And if we solve for V, we would multiply both sides by R. And then if we take the square root of both sides, we get V equals the square root of P times R. Actually, I said that backwards, didn't I? And that's the equation there. Okay, so let's add another equation here. P equals V squared over R, and V equals the square root of P times R. Okay, now let's go the opposite way, and let's say in our power equation, P equals V times I, let's say instead of using this equation, we're going to use V equals I times R. So we're going to substitute for V, I times R times I. So P is equal to I squared times R. So there's another equation. And if we wanted to solve for the resistance, the current, let's solve for the current here. We're going to divide each side by the resistance, and then take the square root. Whoops. Take the square root, and we'll just add our equation over here. So I is equal to square root of P over R. I, that's here, and then P over V, and then of course V over R. So we've looked at all three of those. Okay. I guess we also have all of the power equations here too. We've got, of course, V times I squared R, and V squared over R. So we now need to find our resistance equations. So of course we have the Ohm's Law, V over I. It's right here. Now let's take two equations. Let me get rid of a couple of these. Let's take this equation and this equation, and we're going to solve each of those for the resistance. So here R is equal to P over I squared if I divide both sides by I squared. And here R, if I multiply both sides by R, I get R times P equals V squared, and then divide by P, V squared over P. That's right there. So this is where all these equations come from. However, they are really nothing more than V equals I times R and P equals V times I.